Everything you know about Gandalf's power is a lie. For 4 parts, we've explored his nature as a Maya, his mission from the Valar, his epic battles. But there is one final, terrifying limitation placed upon him. A restriction so severe it nearly doomed Middle-earth. And understanding it reveals why the Ringbearer's quest was always a desperate, nearly impossible gamble. Why does this matter? Because we see Gandalf the Grey, and later the White, as a being of immense power. He confronts Balrogs, stands against the Nazgul, and challenges Saruman. But what if I told you he was operating with one hand permanently tied behind his back? His true mission wasn't to win the war for the free peoples, it was to ensure they won it for themselves. And that distinction is everything. Let's set the stage. The White Council has failed. Sauron's power grows in Mordor. The ring has been found. At the Council of Elrond, the fate of the world hangs by a thread. And here stands Gandalf, a being older than the sun and moon, a spirit who helped sing the world into existence. He knows the location of the ring. He knows the enemy's weakness. And yet, he turns to a hobbit from the Shire and says, with heartbreaking gravity, that he cannot take the ring. Not that he shouldn't, that he cannot. This is our first clue to the profound shackles of his mission. But here's where everything falls apart. If Gandalf's purpose was to guide and inspire the free peoples, why did he so often seem to fail? He was captured by Saruman. He fell in Moria. He arrived too late to save Boromir. For a divine emissary, his record is one of near catastrophic setbacks. Was he incompetent? Or was he following a rulebook we never got to read? The central problem is this. Gandalf possessed the wisdom and power to potentially solve this crisis himself, yet he consistently chose the path of greatest risk, placing the burden on the smallest and weakest. This seems like madness, unless he had no other choice. Let's dive deep into the Istari's ban. When the 5 wizards were sent to Middle-earth, the Valar imposed absolute restrictions. They were forbidden to match Sauron's power with power. They could not dominate the wills of men or elves. They could not seek lordship for themselves. Their tools were to be counsel, persuasion, and the subtle kindling of hearts. We see Saruman break this rule, seeking power to order the world as he sees fit, and he falls immediately. Gandalf remains faithful, but this means in his confrontation with the Var, a being of similar ancient origin, he was permitted to unleash his full native power. It was a fight of spirit against spirit. But against the political and military might of Sauron, he could only advise, inspire, and hope. His hands were tied in the very arena where it mattered most, the war for Middle-earth. What nobody realized was that Gandalf's greatest test wasn't the Balrog, or Saruman, or even Sauron. It was his own compassion. The one thing he was truly forbidden to do was to take away the freedom, and thus the moral capacity, of the children of Ilúvatar. To force a good outcome, even to save them, would render their eventual victory meaningless. This is why he wept when Frodo took the burden at the council. He was sending a being he loved to almost certain torment and death, while he, an angelic power, had to stand back and let it happen. His mission was one of heartbreaking restraint. Let's go deeper. Look at his resurrection. He is sent back as Gandalf the White, seemingly with enhanced authority and power. He breaks Saruman's staff. He drives them from the gates of Minas Tirith. But even now the ban holds. He does not lead the armies of Gondor to the Black Gate himself. He places in that position. He does not use his power to find and guide and in Mordor. He trusts to hope and their own resilience. His enhanced power is not a license to intervene, but a tool to better enable others to fight. He is the catalyst, never the primary actor. This is the core tragedy and brilliance of his entire existence in Middle-earth. This brings us to the second, more subtle conflict. If Gandalf was so limited, why send him at all? Why not let Middle-earth face Sauron alone? Because Sauron himself was a Maya, operating with no such restrictions. He dominated, he corrupted, he wielded sheer supernatural terror. Without a counterforce of wisdom and encouragement, the Free Peoples would have fallen into despair before they began. Galadriel had the power, but they were also bound by their own natures and histories. Gandalf was the unique middle ground, a being of enough power to understand the enemy, but under a sacred oath not to use that power to usurp the war. He was the balance to Sauron's cheating of the system, and suddenly, all his apparent failures make sense. His capture by Saruman? It forced the Fellowship to proceed without him, making it their quest. His fall in Moria? It removed a towering figure of authority, forcing to step up as leader and to make the fateful choice to go alone. Every setback forced growth and independence onto the people he was meant to serve. His mission wasn't to be their savior, but to make them their own saviors. The moment of his greatest triumph as Gandalf the White is not breaking Saruman's staff. It's when he stands before and says he is a steward, not the ruler. He knows his place, and it is in service. Now the climax, the single most forbidden act for Gandalf, the one line he could never, ever cross. It was to claim the One Ring. He confesses to in Bag End that he would desire it out of pity and a desire to do good. But with it, he would become a tyrant, far worse than Sauron, because he would be a righteous tyrant, ordering all things for their own good. This is the ultimate expression of the ban. He is forbidden from loving his own wisdom and power so much that he would strip away the freedom of Middle-earth to exercise theirs. His final, most heroic act is his repeated, conscious refusal of absolute power. In a story about a ring of power, the most powerful being on the side of good is the one who understands why he must never, ever take it. So, we tie it together. Gandalf's true nature was that of a bound angel. His powers were real, but his mission was defined by their limitation. He was not a warrior, but a guide, not a general, but a counselor, not a king, but a steward of hope. His success was measured not in the enemies he slew, but in the courage he kindled in the hearts of hobbits, men, dwarves, and elves. He won by helping others find their own strength to win. When his ship finally sails into the west, he is not leaving a job unfinished. He is leaving because his work, the delicate, agonizing work of inspiring a world to save itself, is finally, miraculously, complete. If this deep dive into the hidden chains of Middle-earth's greatest guide changed how you see the story, then you understand the true tragedy and brilliance of Gandalf. His power was in his restraint. Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because this isn't the end of the mystery. What about the Blue Wizards? What did they do in the East? That's a story for another time. Until then, what do you think? Could Gandalf have broken the ban if he wanted to? Let's discuss in the comments below.